afternoon, Cedarfield family. I hope everyone's doing well on this fine January 20th. We have a lot of information to cover today, and some of it's actually real time, so I want to get the information out to you as just been trying to calculate a couple of things to be transparent, provide you with the right data. So forgive me for going a little slower this afternoon, just as I'm jumping around between different pages here on my laptop. For those of you that are listening here live, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. And once again, those that are listening to this video tonight via our Touchtown app, we appreciate you as well taking time out of your busy schedule tonight to listen to this information. Looks like we have about a 45-minute discussion here, most of which will come from me. I want to talk a little bit about our current situation. You'll hear more information about our evolving preparedness plan, a little bit about COVID-19 education, and provide a little update about our rollout in 48 hours. I want to talk a little bit about dining services, and then please don't leave. Once we stop talking about COVID, I want to talk to you about a very strategic scam that is happening around the United States for people 65 years of age and better. And I want to put you all on alert so that you are armed when you receive this particular call or email. So first, the COVID-19 situation update related to our 7-day positivity rates around the 5 areas that we've been talking about. So here's some rays of sunshine here, although we're in double digits. The Commonwealth of Virginia, as of today, is at a 12.9 7-day positivity rate. That number has decreased from a couple of days ago from 13.6. Central Virginia is down slightly as well, from 15.8 to 15.4. Henrico County is also down 10.9 from Monday to 10.2 today. Richmond is also down 8.7 to 7.7. And Chesterfield remained flat at 13.8. That metric did not move. So our dashboard here at Cedarfield is as follows. I'm going to start up in the health center. In our north neighborhood, we have 4 positive cases. One just popped up about 10 minutes ago. So we have 4 positive cases, all of which are with the residents. There are 0 team members that, and can I just actually make this reference here? When I say I've referenced the residents and there's 0 team members, please don't take that data to suggest that it's the residents' fault that we have COVID cases around. We do our best to really contact trace where we think the virus is coming in, but in most cases we just really can't track it down. It's just that slippery of a virus. So when I make reference to residents have cases and team members don't, please don't read into that the residents are bringing in the virus. But right now in the North household, we do have 4 situations. Those 4 residents are doing very well, so that's good news. The other ray of sunshine that happened in North neighborhood over the last day is that 2 residents actually cycled off of their 14-day quarantine. So, and now they're doing very well. So of those 6 positive cases here in the last couple of days, we still have 4, and those 4 people are doing very well. We also, in the North neighborhood, had a team member that cycled off of their 14-day quarantine. So that's good news as well. That team member is back to work, and she is feeling just great. In the central household, we some good news again in the central household. We had one resident that cycled off of his 14-day period and is doing well, so that's good. Minus one COVID case. We still have one resident that is positive in the central household, and about an hour ago I was told that she's doing well. There were 2 team members in this particular household that were positive on Monday. One of those team members has cycled off of their 14-day quarantine, and the other hopefully will cycle off here on Saturday. And that team member is doing well. In the South neighborhood, we have 0 residents that are positive, so that's great news. That's the same as we reported on Monday. And we had one team member that was positive in the South neighborhood, and that team member cycled off as of today. So in the South neighborhood, they are free as of this very moment of any pending tests for team members or residents and any cases. So those are the 3 North, Central, and South neighborhoods in the health center. Assisted living, we have 0 residents that have any positive cases, and we don't have any tests that are pending. And team members as well. We have, as we reported on Monday, we have one team member that is still out due to a COVID-19 home, we call this a home exposure, where through our contact tracing efforts and talking to the team member, it was a result of other folks in their particular home that received the COVID, unfortunately, first, and then this team member attracted it. So that is an in-home exposure. So there's one team member in assisted living that's positive, and she's going to be out for quite some time. Assisted living's dashboard, for all intents and purposes, is a green dashboard for me. Sunshine Plaza, our memory support area, we have 0 residents or team members that are COVID positive, so that's great news. We have one resident that is under isolation because of some contact tracing from last week, and that resident probably won't come out of isolation until the weekend, and that resident is doing fine. And then we have one team member in Sunshine Plaza that were reported, again, a COVID-19 in-home exposure, so she's likely not to return until the middle of February. So the good news of those home exposures is team members are reporting what we've trained them to do. We've said if you're sick, stay home and we'll work through the issues. And if you have been exposed or have any other contact tracing, people have contact traced you outside of Cedarfield, to contact us so that we can work through our protocol to make sure that the individual either comes to work with an N95 mask and or stays home to quarantine. So hats off to those team members that are being honest with us, as we would hope everyone is. Okay, in independent living is a little bit of a different story. We have, at this point, we have one resident that's still positive here in the main building. She's doing very well, thankfully. And staff is a little different in independent living. I'll first start with the housekeeping department. Since the last 2 weeks in housekeeping, we were kind of cycling through and trying to, as the epidemiologists say, break the chain of through contact tracing and try to identify things. So the good news is on Monday, we were reporting that there were 5 housekeepers that were under quarantine, or we had their eye on them for signs and symptoms, and or 3 of them were positive. One of those folks have cycled off their 14-day quarantine, so that's good news. She's back to work and feeling great. There's 2 other team members they're kind of feeling sick that we tested. That those tests came back negative. They're feeling fine today, and we've tested them again, so their test came back negative, so they're actually back to work, which leaves us down to 2 team members in housekeeping. One was a definite positive, and she will be out through Saturday, so hopefully she'll be returning to work on Monday. And then there was a second person who, again, had a COVID-19 in-home exposure, and that team member is doing well. She tested negative. So all that to be said is housekeeping's doing great. We have 2 people left to work through this little issue we had, and they should be back to normal labor standards and staffing schedules back on Monday. Maintenance is fine, administration's fine, marketing is fine, resident services has 1 team member that will be cycling back here on Monday because of a COVID-19 in-home exposure. That team member is doing well. And then the last area that we're really concerned about right now, but we got a great handle on it, is dining services. So on Monday, we reported that we had 3 positive cases and 2 COVID-19 in-home exposures. So that number now has grown to 14. We have We have 9 team members that are positive and 6 that we are asking to stay home because they're sick. They've tested negative through 2 different tests, but they're not feeling well, so we definitely don't want them to be here. So we're working on potentially, one just came, no, that one dropped off. So right now we're working on 14 situations within the dining services department. So that is our dashboard. I want to talk a little bit, continue to talk about dining services for a moment, because that probably gives folks the most agita around the community. So just got off the phone with the epidemiologist, and my main question was, is there any known cases of COVID-19 because somebody has consumed a meal? And the answer is no. To the best of Henrico County and our infection control nurse here, through the data out there that's available through the CDC, there are no known COVID-19 cases because somebody consumed food, whether you cook it, shopped for it and cooked it, or there was food handling and consumption of food for a restaurant. Hence, why all these supermarkets are still open and everyone's still allowed to go inside of a supermarket and shop, and or all these restaurants are working on different provisions to provide takeout meals, etc. And so that's the good news, and that is where Cedarfield is headed. So really, again, just going back to this, the coronavirus, the main spread is person to person, respiratory droplets when someone's coughing and sneezing and either talking or singing. I know in the beginning of the pandemic, there's a lot of information out there about the duration of droplets resting on surfaces, and while that is still true, the virus can live on surfaces for periods of time. More of the emphasis is why we keep talking about the 6-foot distance from one another, good hand washing, good infection control, and wearing our masks is the name of the game. The risk of infection by the virus from food products, food packaging, food handling is extremely, extremely low. And again, currently, we don't believe that any of our cases are a result of team members actually touching food, packaging food, or putting it together. So I can assure you that the main kitchen, which is where our meals come from, there is great infection control standards. They've had great infection control standards. The team wears an N95 mask. I was just up there about an hour ago, just watching them prepare all of the takeout meals or delivery meals. Everyone's wearing an N95 mask. There's great infection control. More importantly, I just want to share with the residents that we planned for this event. Back in March, the executive team got together over a series of weeks, beginning a part of March, and here was the scenario question. The scenario question was, what if 25% of our staff come down with COVID-19? What is our emergency plan? What if 70 or 50% of our staff come down with COVID? What is your plan? And then we took it down another layer. What if 75% of your staff come down with COVID and are quarantined for 2 weeks? What is your plan? And every department, every neighborhood had to, over a month period of time, come up with a plan. And so we dusted off that plan in dining services end of last week because we were kind of at that 25 percentile. And it talked about, so that's the good news, I guess, as I wanted to share with team members, families, and residents that are watching. We did anticipate getting an outbreak like this in one particular department. And as I was reviewing David's plan, Jim's plan, and Tyrone's plan in dining services, we're kind of right in the middle of that plan in terms of like meal preparation and staffing the labor, which is why we're scaling back the menu significantly because most of the labor that they're shuffling and using the cross-training that they have implemented over the last several months actually is within the kitchen. And we don't have as a skilled culinary team as we had back in the summertime. And so the team that we have now has to prepare a certain menu with a certain skill set. So we need to cycle through. It's going to be a little difficult of 3 weeks, I would imagine, 3 to 4 weeks as we cycle through this outbreak in dining services. And we're going to try our hardest. Hopefully you all have seen the menus that they produced last night. We're going to try our hardest to stick with that menu. As of right this second, or a half hour ago talking with Jim, we're able to execute the menu that we have posted on 973 and on the Touchtown account. If we develop any further cases, we may have to scale it back a little bit more and pick like one entree or another. And again, it's because of the number of culinarians that we have in the kitchen and the skill set that they have compared to the other folks that are out for quarantine here for the next 2 weeks. So I ask for your patience, please. We're going to try our hardest to get nutritious meals to you with the variety that we have, which is very limited. And the team I can tell you over the last half hour as I was up there, the team is motivated, they're in high spirits, as is many other folks around other departments, looking to see how we can help supplement their area, because that's the hardest hit department right now. So, if anybody has any questions about dining services, please feel free to reach out. Like I said on the Call 'em All last night, the restaurants upstairs are closed right now, and that is just because of the pure number of people that are out in the dining services department. And so we're going to a 100% delivery program here for the foreseeable future. Okay, any questions come in about dining that I can address right now? Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the vaccine rollout. Hopefully everyone has received the memo that we published yesterday. There is just one item that yours truly missed on this memo. And thank you to one particular resident for pointing it out to me. And so we do have a version 2.0, but that version 2.0 memo is only being delivered to how many apartments, Renee?
It's like 25.
So there's 25 apartments that are going to get a version 2.0 memo. And at the top of the memo, it'll have a red header, version 2.0, and then you'll see a different time change for your particular area. So, but other than that, I hope the memo was informative. We just ask for your patience, as we learned last Thursday, working with the staff, getting with the pharmacist and the staff of Walgreens. They actually have to mix that syringe here at Cedarfield. And so it's not, it's a process. There's a couple of different vials that they use to mix it, and then ultimately put it in the syringe that it's administered to everyone. And so it's a time-consuming process. They have to make all those syringes here at Cedarfield. So we ask for your patience. Wear comfortable shoes. I would definitely wear comfortable shoes as you're coming to your zone within your time frame. And I would also encourage you, as the memo described, to bring a magazine, a book, bring your smartphone with you, something to occupy your time, a crossword puzzle, whatever suits you. It's going to take some time to get through what is now 475 vaccines here on Friday. The other thing that we are going to do in these 3 zones is we're going to have great infection control, which is going to add to the time that it takes for people to cycle through. And so that spray machine, that electrostat spray machine that we've been promoting here in the last 10 months, you're going to see those spray machines in these 3 zones frequently spraying the chairs to make sure that all these chairs where people will be sitting down and the nurses are observing the residents, that we can be rest assured that those chairs are clean. For those of you that live in the cottages, we are going to provide a shuttle. It's a continuous loop. So the shuttle's going to keep just rolling from 8:45 until we finish on Friday. It's just going to keep roaming around, picking up people. So again, wear comfortable shoes. And the second thing is, the staff does not have time to go ring your doorbell in the cottages. We're asking if you could look at that memo that we published, and within that hour range, if you could just go back to the edge of your driveway, and the shuttle will come pick you up. It's one continuous loop. You do not have to call the concierge desk to be picked up. So Will, our ancillary services manager, has has a schedule and some staff to really pull this off. So he's 100% confident with it. Anything else, Renee? If you don't have a driver's license, please bring a picture ID. So if you don't, we keep talking, there's that one last registration process step is a driver's license or an identification card that has a picture on it.
Or your passport.
Or your passport. All of those will do. So we know some residents don't have a driver's license anymore. Last thing I just wanted to talk about is an email from a couple of residents last night about why don't we mandate COVID-19 vaccination? Why isn't it mandated that every person on this campus who either lives here or works here is mandatorily told that they have to get the vaccine? Anybody have any reasons why? I have 6 people. I have an audience of 6 in here in the fellowship hall. Here's the reason why. Yours truly was on a conference call probably about 60 days ago, and on that conference call were the CEOs of the hospitals within this region. The CEOs are executive directors of some of the retirement communities. Our leading age Virginia partners were on that conference call. Henrico County epidemiologists were on the call as well as some medical directors of these retirement communities. And we asked ourselves that very question. Should we mandate that every resident that lives in one of our communities or staff that work in our hospitals or our retirement communities, nursing homes, assisted living, should we mandate that they get it? And in that conference call, I can tell you there were several hundred providers on that conference call. And we only know of one to this day out in the mountains, a retirement community out in the mountains that is mandatorily making it a mandate of residents to live there and staff to work there. I truly believe, just listening to experts that were on this call and the 60 days after, that because there is so much fear around the vaccine because it's new, and because fear meaning 60 days ago, maybe not to this day. And because if it's new, it's something that the world has never seen produced in such a short amount of time, that we would probably have more of a staffing crisis if we made it mandatory. So we are relying on good, sound data and information to help our team members and residents. Residents are there. I'm almost confident we're going to get well above 90%, to help the team members understand how safe it is, and the fact that if they get it, they're protecting themselves and the people that they either live with and or work with. And so one of the most one of the biggest concerns from the team members was, we want to see other people get it and that they're okay. And so we've done that. Last Thursday, there was 170 of us that received the vaccine, including yours truly, and we're all fine. We don't know of any team member that was out with signs and symptoms. And so next week, there are 140 team members that we are going to provide education for. We know who obviously the 140 are. Some team members have a hard no. They're dead set against it. Some people are on the fence because they need more information, and we know who they are. And there's other team members kind of in a third bucket that have said yes since we provided the first vaccine. And so next week is a really important week for myself and the leadership team. We're going to be simplifying the training into like 5 to 7 bullet points, and we're going to translate it into 7 languages, and we're going to sit one-on-one with the 140 people who are have not gone through the first round, and just educate and give them a confidence level that mRNA is great technology in today's world. So that's where we're at with a voluntary process and helping the other team members cross the finish line. Hopefully everyone read my top 7 reasons of why we should receive the vaccine on the back side of that memo yesterday. I've also published those top 7 reasons to the team members. And so, again, just continual education and training, give people a confidence level. And I feel really confident that by the end of the second day, which is now, what, February? I lost train of thought. February 5th. February 5th is the second day for the team to get the second shot and or those that were catching up to get the first dose. And so I feel very confident that we're going to cross that 70% threshold so that we can have herd immunity within the team members, to have herd immunity here at Cedar Field. So anybody has any ideas, suggestions, opinions about how to approach that, please feel free to call the administration suite. Okay, so here's my alert. My alert is the following. If you get contacted by Western Union, whether it's an email, a text, a phone call, or you get a call, an email, or a text about a gift card, particularly, here's the catch, here's the scam. These scammers know, I don't know how they know this, because obviously I'm not a scammer, but they know who your friend is. They know who you are friendly with. Somehow, some way that these scam artists have figured that out through whatever information that's out there. And so you might get a call, I might get a call from Renee, and someone posing to be Renee, and that person would say, hey, it's Renee, and can you Western Union some money to me, or can you go out and buy a gift card at CVS and give me the number of that gift card? And I'll be like, oh my God, Renee, are you okay? And I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna go support Renee, right? Because it's Renee at the other end of the line. So these scammers are posing as for people that you know. Isn't that the craziest thing? How do they get this information is beyond me. There has been no security breach at Cedar Field. There's been no security breach at Pinnacle Living. Folks that find their way, need to find their way through theft, get this information somehow, some way. So again, if you get contacted and there's a Western Union link to it, or you're asked to buy a gift card for somebody else, hang up the phone, don't open the email, don't open the text. It's a pretty significant scam right now for people 65 years of age and better. Anyone have any questions about that scam, please feel free to call me and we'll walk you through it. Okay, last item on my list is frequently asked questions. Thank you, Renee. So one question, what arrangements are being made getting the vaccine for individuals who have had COVID within the less than 90 days that the CDC says they should wait to get the vaccine? So that's a good question. I am not attempting to answer that question right now. Again, it has to do with folks who've had the virus in the last 90 days and getting them the vaccine. So we'll find out that answer here shortly and get back. Do we know which resident sent? We do? Okay. We know who you are that's in that resident, and we'll get back to you. Second question is, if a resident misses their appointment on Friday, can they come during another time slot, or do they have to wait for the next date for the makeup of the people because of off-campus appointments? I would prefer, we have to try to get 475 people in a very tight time frame done. If you can't make Friday's appointment, I would encourage you to clear your calendar for, what's the second date? So if somebody cannot make the 22nd on Friday for whatever reason, I would clear your calendar for February 12th, which is the next time Walgreens will be back to administer the second shot for everybody who receives it this Friday, and will receive will catch up with anybody that they missed on Friday. So I think that's probably the best way to handle that. And then if you miss Friday, come back here on February 12th to get your first shot, which means that you would get your second shot on February 5th. So that's the second question. And the third question is, please give COVID positive numbers for independent living residents. The question is, how many positive COVID cases do we have in independent living? And that answer is 1. We have 1 positive resident in independent living in the main building. Woo! A lot of data. Big day on Friday. I'm so happy for 475 people to be getting that vial of hope on Friday. It's a great, glorious day. Hopefully you all have taken the time to read that memo. Hopefully it provides a little bit more education for you about the top 7 reasons why, if you're still you submitted all your paperwork, but you're still on the edge, and hopefully that 7 bullet points of mine help you cross the finish line. More importantly, hopefully everyone read the very last sentence of that memo on the back side of that page. Could you please just thank the pharmacists for being here to provide the vaccine, the end of the supply chain. They are so enthused to be coming back to Cedarfield because how they were treated last Thursday. They're really, really excited. We're going to have the signs back out. It's going to say, "Welcome back, Walgreens," out on the front lawn. And because this is really a historical day for the residents, 475 of you, if you wish your picture to be taken, we do have, this is the celebratory moment of the day. We have staff in each of these 3 zones that are going to be able to take your picture behind a backdrop so that you can have it for keepsake if you wish. So minor thing, but I think we all need a picture to remind ourselves of these last 10 months. So, okay, anything else? Nope. Anybody have any questions, comments? Please feel free to call the administration suites. You can contact any of the directors. We're all united around what's happening on Friday and the details around it. And we can get you answers to any of your questions just as soon as we can as they're rolling into each of the areas. So, Reverend Florence Brooks is here to close us out with some spiritual well-being and some more good news.
Thank you, Michael. I want to share with you all a story that I ran across recently of a woman by the name of Hulda Klager. She was a German immigrant who lived in Washington State in the early 1900s, and she was passionate about gardening, in particular, the propagation of lilacs. Because of where her family lived at the confluence of two great rivers, her garden often flooded. If she had time, if she anticipated the rising of the river, she would pull her lilacs and float the plants on rafts tied to trees in her yard and watch them bob while she waited for the waters to recede. After the floodwaters went down, she would begin again pressing the lilacs into the soil, anticipating their beauty in the spring. Her patience and attentiveness bore fruit, and in time she became known throughout the region as the lilac lady of the woodland. History says that she introduced more than 100 varieties of lilacs through her well-crafted hybridizing techniques. Huldah's persistence and faith that life would spring again from disaster is something for us all to remember. Memory and faith are certain tools that can indeed bring form out of chaos. Whatever is at this moment in time, whether it's sadness or barrenness, dark or cold, confusion or despair, it's only temporary. Something new awaits each of us. Perhaps you're familiar with these words from the Hymn of Promise. In the bulb there is a flower, in the seed an apple tree. In cocoons a hidden promise, butterflies will soon be free. In the cold and snow of winter there's a spring that waits to be unrevealed until its season, something God alone can see. There's a song in every silence, seeking word and melody. There's a dawn in every darkness, bringing hope to you and me. From the past will come the future, what it holds, a mystery, unrevealed until its season, something God alone can see. Thank you for tuning in today to today's live stream. We'll look forward to seeing you on Friday for the immunization.